Leo's Legion, three down bros here. Greg, Arthur, and Roland here after the Lions 27-3 victory over the Alouettes on the final regular season game of the year. High level thoughts from this three down bro. Cautious, tempered optimism because although they looked a lot better under VA and the whole team playing their complementary football, not sure it was a real test on that game. With that game and the Alouettes, that with the game they brought. What do you think, Arthur?
Well, yeah, I mean, Montreal didn't have anything to play for, neither did BC, by the way. And the only thing BC had playing for them was to play for VA and to get some good mojo going in the playoffs. Montreal had their first stringers, except for Fletcher and Mac. And the first half, BC definitely deserved that. And Davis Alexander is a very good quarterback, had a number of wins this year as well. So if he's BC's full marks for that victory. But Montreal, yeah, let's see BC play against a very motivated opponent, and we will find out in 2 weeks where that's going to be. But I think the whole team stepped up. VA very much was that spark for the team, the shot of energy, and hopefully they can keep this rolling for another 3 more games. Roland, what do you think?
Yeah, no, good thoughts. So first off, welcome to all of you who are joining us online. Glad that you can join us. As usual, if you have any thoughts and comments, please post them on the chat, and we'll be able to get to them. I'm not back at my home right now, so we can't show your chat on screen, but we do see it, and we will respond to your chat. So please let us know what you think. Agree or disagree with anything that we say. So my thoughts. Wow, I think that was a real. I mean, it wasn't an eye opener because we all knew that the team saw VA as their leader, but we saw the effects of what happens when the team plays with passion. So you guys are right. I mean, this is not a meaningless game for Montreal, and maybe we didn't see their best, but I think that's not the point. For me, the main point was this was a statement game from the sense that this is what happens when everyone gives it their all. And they were motivated, our side. I mean, we can't control what Montreal does, but all the BC players, to a T, were motivated to do it for Vern because, he's their leader. And for whatever reason, they all know that he was shortchanged. And whether he may not even be here next season. So because of that, they all played 110%. If they gave Nate 100%, they gave Vern 110, 120%, and that showed not just on the offense, it showed on the defense, it showed on everyone. And they wanted him to win. They wanted to win this game for VA, and I think if we can maintain that through the playoffs, who knows what's going to happen? It's hard to predict, right? But if the team is playing at that level where they're so motivated, um, you know, the gloves are off. I'm really excited. They always say that the postseason is a new season. In this case, I think it really is a new season for us. So I'm really, really excited. Yeah, those are my thoughts. All right. So what I thought, again, for those of you joining us online, thanks for joining us. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, we got one comment from Habs for Life. It says, that performance by the receivers and everyone else give me some hope for 2 weeks. I still believe. Yes, I still do too. I was so excited. From the very first play. Actually, let's go through the highlights. Okay, so I got the highlight package here. We'll go through the highlights, and then we'll just talk through the highlights, and then let us know what you think too as we're looking through the highlights. Um, Let me just rearrange my screen here so I could see your comments while we do the highlights.
It's a cold and gloomy day in Vancouver, which accurately describes both the forecast and the second half of
All right.
the BC Lions
So
season.
the highlights are
First place,
going.
Alouettes roll into town, just one road loss so far this year. BC making a quarterback change, trying to find some momentum heading into the playoffs. They start on their own 50.
First play, wow. When I saw this, first play out of the gate, and we go deep. That just
I
set
knew
the
they're gonna.
tone
I
for
knew he was going deep. I knew he was going deep first play. Make a point, right?
Yeah, but man, this first drive was just so first play, first drive. It just showed you right away that we meant business. And even how he got this TD, he ran it in himself. Yeah, look how excited he was. And our O-line, our O-line held the pass rush, something that we've been complaining almost, 2/3 of the season. And the O-line held this game for the most part.
I mean, the blitzing. It's vanilla, but I mean, it's consistently pressure. So you can game plan. But then when they're like mixing it up, then that's hard. And that's a big play.
Yeah, McInnes. Man, I mean, I would have given the game ball to VA too, but if I had a close second would be McInnes. He didn't have as many yards as Hatcher, but I think his catches were more difficult than Hatcher's. I mean, Hatcher had some difficult ones too, but consistently, McInnes had really good catches. And then the run defense, our run defense this game was like, made you wonder where was this the whole time? It's the same personnel.
I think Haladic's, I think this is third game that when he's been back. So it takes a little time. And Montreal didn't have Fletcher, and they're not a huge running team, anyways. Fletcher does a lot of his damage, catching passes out of the backfield.
Yeah.
So
I mean, true, but the fact that we did it's three goal line stands, right?
Yeah.
3 goal line stands.
And we've traded for the other 2 running backs they used to have. So they're gonna go with younger guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic Davis.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So.
Look at this. Matthew Betts came all the way around to tag him.
Oh, there we go.
There's Matthew Betts again. They don't have this on this package, but that penalty on Matthew Betts, 15 yards, I thought didn't make sense at all.
Because it wasn't roughing the pass; it was misconduct. So did he say something or hit a guy?
I think he followed through on a block.
Yeah, but then that would be unnecessary roughness, not misconduct. Unless it was like a dirty hit or something, then it's
maybe it was a
foul.
little late, maybe a tad late, but he kind of ran into,
Yeah, but it was just a tap. It was just a little tap. He hit shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, so maybe he said something because misconduct. You got to say something. I believe. This was beautiful.
Yeah.
His calf looks pretty good there.
That's a bad throw.
Yeah, but he was under pressure. Yeah. See again, McInnes, getting us out of under the goalpost. Right?
See that he broke out of the pocket under pressure.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had a pretty good game.
He did. He was zoned in.
Pump fake, but then that's when the halfback dropped back. Yeah.
Yeah, he admitted to this in the post game.
Well, he was doing a lot of pump fakes, right? So
Hand off again, right up the middle with his team down by 17. Erlington nowhere to go, and he's going to be driven.
Yeah, Sean Thomas Erlington is not Walter Fletcher.
Davis Alexander, 4-0 on the season as a starter. Comes in here for the second half of action today. Starts on his own 40. Gets it out quickly to Speaker. Speaker just turns and decides to try to bully his way ahead.
Yeah, you know, the DBs were all rallying to the ball, like what we saw in Victoria. Right? This is a close one.
But it'll be ruled incomplete.
see that Montreal had so many chances to make big plays.
Over the middle.
Yeah, that was a tight window there.
This time they'll hand it
So he threw a couple tight windows into Hatcher, and Hatcher made the play. And this on Hollins. Oh no, this is Hatcher. Hollins stepped up too, so all the receivers stepped up, right?
Yeah, they did. And the rushing 5 picked it up, and he escapes.
I wish he had slid here. I was a little worried here.
Little hold there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
unfortunate. Nothing you can do there.
Second and 3 for Davis Alexander near side. That time Speaker has it. He's got a first down.
Yeah, I was happy with the way the defense closed on passes a little bit better.
Exactly. That's what
Saturday
they
night.
needed. Yeah, that's what they needed.
last
Yeah, you
night.
see that? You know, you get the ball, you get hit right away.
In the third quarter, Alouettes will send 5. Adams.
But so
Another pump fake.
those other games where
This-
the
they
D
see, they
wasn't
didn't call
closing
this
like
one.
that. Is it because there was no effort? They didn't want to, no desire, unable to? Like you just wonder, right?
On the far side. That time it's Hollins. Nobody.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that tackle. They were already out of bounds, and he slams him to the ground. I mean,
And there's no
if that's
flag
not
on
a
that.
penalty, yeah, no penalty. Why do they call bets? Hollins gets TD here.
So they got it on zone.
BC blows it wide open. Leading
4+1. Sankey comes in late, but you got a zone underneath.
6-yard return on the kickoff. His longest kick return of the season. Find a spark any way you can. They'll hand it off to Stevie Scott. Davis Alexander from the BC 19 trying to hit the Alouettes on the board. He'll hand it off, pushing ahead with the rookie running back. Second crack at it here for Davis Alexander from the BC 5 corner end zone. Out of
I'm glad they didn't throw a flag there.
15-yard misconduct penalty.
On the PL. Well, no, but that was on.
Automatic first down.
That's
There's the bets penalty. Yeah.
Alexander, Julian Grant, one hand roll. That would have been spectacular. Davis Alexander up under
Here's the
center.
strip, I think.
Keeps it himself.
Oh no, this
No
is
procedure, I think.
yeah, the
was it?
procedure. Yeah.
Get there.
Procedure. Montreal number 67.
Yeah, that was a bad penalty because they did punch it in.
To finally put some points on the board for the Montreal Alouettes, who are struggling on the West Coast. Second and 10 here from the BC 40. Adams.
5-man rush.
Inside the 50 down to the 40. But I think it was broken. So my jacket was still wet. My bed
Yeah.
was still wet.
Everyone was just playing like with so much heart. You know, I almost put Antwi on my fantasy.
Yeah.
I should have.
Should have thought that Standback would only play half a game.
Yeah.
Second and 8. Adams, couple of pump fakes. Now dumps it off over the middle. All time in accuracy. This one 18 yards. And no problem.
Some sacrifices, and this is how you need to behave like a professional. Vernon told me that he thinks Davis reminds him of a younger version of Vernon Adams. He said he's athletic.
Well, you know, let's remind folks that in 22, in essentially 9 games, Nathan Rourke was averaging 372 yards passing.
3rd and 1 here for Alexander. Quarterback
How about
keeper
this?
in the middle.
This was their best running play.
Yeah, I think we're playing prevent there, Arthur.
Yeah. Maybe they thought something else.
Yeah.
Obviously, they thought something else.
But look at this.
Good
the defense
swarming.
playing with so much heart.
Pushing over the middle, trying to push ahead.
Like they were determined not to let them in the end zone.
And now the Lions are saying they took it away.
Yeah, here's the strip.
Very interested to see, and it'll start at quarterback. I mean, does Cody Fajardo start in that game? Yes or no?
And if you think
All right.
and if they don't have
So
If the answer is yes, we know that this loss is
27-3.
John Elway taking the victory formation. I like that. Big John Elway. Bryce, that's Bryce, number 7.
Alexander, but the BC Lions making a change at quarterback, and it pays off.
Yeah. All right. So that's the highlights. So again, if you're online joining us, please feel free to put your comments in the chat. Anything that we say that you agree with or disagree with, or just any thoughts, just put it in the chat. We can't show it on screen today, but we'll be able to read it out, and then we'll respond to that. All right. So we did our high level thoughts. Specific things that happened that caused us to win. Let's go with Greg first. What were some specific things you saw that you thought, was?
Offensively, I saw the receivers a little more aggressive, attacking the ball at the high point versus waiting for it to get there. I mean, there was a couple sloppy, lazy looks, in my opinion, but the receivers looked a little more aggressive, and the DBs definitely a lot more aggressive. I said it during the highlights. They closed a little quicker. The swarming that was evident at the beginning of the season when we ran off those 5 games, those 5 wins, was sort of there, not quite to the same intensity in the beginning of the season, but it, like I said, I have cautioned optimism. Like, okay, if they're back to that and that hungry, then I'm a little more hopeful versus writing off one and done in the first round. And then special teams, again, other than that big run in the late in the game, again, I was happy with the special team coverage. They've been doing the most consistent, even in the swoon of those putrid, lackluster offensive defensive efforts. The special teams was there. So, what about you, Arthur?
All right. Actually, before we get to Arthur, there's a comment from Has for Life. Easy to say now, but did Rick not sticking with VA cost the Lions a home playoff spot? His hands were tied. I get it. Okay, so we'll get to Arthur's thoughts, but comments on what Has for Life said. I guess Arthur.
I think in his heart and his mind, Rick Campbell believes Nathan Rourke gives him a better chance to win. I mean, there is a chance when Vernon got back after a loss, the game after Toronto, they lost in Toronto, right? He could have given the next start to Vernon Adams. Some people are like, well, do we give it? But he thought, I mean, and it's not based on Vernon's, that second half of the Argo game, because, Vernon didn't have any of the first team reps. But I think it's just his feeling that Nate gave him the best chance to win. So, I mean, Nate did the same thing to the Alouettes in Montreal. He beat them, and it was a very good performance by the quarterback. So now Nate has a win over the Alouettes, and more of a me-nothing game for the Alouettes. Back then, they had more to play for when Nate went in, and then Montreal was at home. So
But what was the game after Montreal? Was that the Toronto game already? Not yet, right? After Montreal, we lost.
Then it was the Toronto game. Yeah.
Was it Toronto
home?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was when VA came in on the second half.
Yeah, and we couldn't get anything going. It was and then was Bryce.
The question is the game after Toronto. So I think it was obvious that you throw VA in with no first team reps, it's hard, right? So the game after Toronto.
Well, they had a bye. They had a bye first. They had a bye.
And then it was the Hamilton overtime loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So should Rick have played VA in Hamilton?
I mean, Hamilton came storming back in that game. It took the lead, and then
Yeah.
Nate went down, and it was 3rd and 2, right at the 5-yard line, 3rd and 2, and people were like, "Do we go for it?" Right? Because the defense was just getting like Bo Levi was just torching our defense. It's like
Yeah.
the last 3 possessions, touchdown, right? And then we're like, should we just go for it? So I'm not hanging that loss on Nathan Rourke.
No, but I guess I'm saying my point, and maybe what Habs is asking is, did Rick Campbell make a mistake? Should he have played VA then?
No, I mean the
As
Hamilton.
as a starter, not because the thing that I think that the thing that makes me and a lot of fans and even some the reporters feel bad for VA was that when he was healthy, he was not given the team back. But when the same thing happened in 2 years ago when Nate was hurt, once he was healthy, they gave the team back to Nate. But that didn't happen to VA. And you know, Rick is still very he respects VA. He says VA did not complain. He kept doing the right things. He kept saying the right things. But he was hurt, right? That's what Farhan said. He was hurt, and he confided in Farhan that hurt him. I mean, it's Farhan.
I have a
counterpoint.
I have a counterpoint to that, Roland. When you're done your point, I have a
Okay.
counterpoint.
Yeah, so it's revisionist history now, according to Farhan, because we don't know what would have happened. But this probably affected the locker room. It did. We saw in yesterday's game that the players felt bad for VA and they wanted to win for him. So had this happened earlier, and Habs for Life is asking, maybe we would have had a home playoff spot. Okay. Your counter, Arthur.
Well, this has always been Nathan Rourke's team since 2022.
You can't count that.
I'm counting that. Once
he left, it's gone. How can you count that?
I'm saying it's my opinion
Okay.
and
All right.
my read on Lions management and coaches. This is Nathan Rourke's team. Okay,
that's your read on the match.
This is my read, right? You have a different read. It's all good, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes. Yeah,
right. It's all good, right? And it makes for good podcasting, Roland.
Exactly.
Right? That's why we have Greg with us.
That's right.
So
Actually, usually Greg is the one stirring the pot, not you.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, it's just
Someone's got to stir something all the time.
Nathan Rourke was the starter. He got injured. We traded for Vernon Adams, right?
Yes.
And then Vernon was 4-2 as a starter. Big win in McMahon Stadium, right, Greg? Remember that?
That's right.
That's right. That's what I kept on saying. And
you hurdled over those players. I loved it.
Yeah, and then he kind of, but it was Nathan's team. So after that, he moved down to the NFL, but McAvoy, they kept on tabs, and they always indicated that if Nathan Rourke wants to come back to BC, they would say yes.
Yeah.
He never wavered. He didn't say it was quote unquote Vernon's team in 2023 and 2024. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was Nathan's team's first. So I can see why they say from continuity. Nathan was injured. VA came in. When Nathan's back, then Nathan starts. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you could say, hey, what happened in 2022? We should follow the same script in 2024. I see what you're meaning, Roland. This is quote unquote VA's team, but I think they wanted the consistency. VA started to not play A to A+ quarterbacking near that end of that before he got injured.
Yeah.
Okay. The second half of Calgary. I mean, people. You had a 5-1 start. Actually, it was going to be a 5-3 start because you lost to Calgary in the second half when they pivoted to a prevent, kind of like a prevent defense. Rush 3, have a spy and have a spy, and VA couldn't figure it out. That second half of that game, he couldn't figure out, and we lose a 1-point game. All these 1-point games, we won them. We win them. We would be fighting for first place in the West, right? Even with all those, like that, what couldn't kill it. And then the next game, and versus Winnipeg, we got shut out.
Yep.
Nothing. I mean, so to me, I'm like, they figured us out.
Yeah.
Right. So everything what I'm reading is the OC is not really changing the game plan much. Right.
Exactly.
You've been saying that, right, Roland?
Exactly.
So what does that tell you?
Football.
That tells you that the OC believes that better execution can be obtained because they're not changing the scheme or the play calling. And if they don't change that, that means that the execution is off. Okay?
From their point of view.
From their that's the point of view that matters, right? Not from Roland's point of view or Greg's point of view or my point of view. It's the point of view of the OC and the coaches. So the OC says, we're not changing the scheme, we're not changing the play calling, is because the execution has to be better. So therefore, you have Nathan Rourke come fall in your laps. They're gonna run him. They know that, okay, everyone hoped that he would have a faster pickup to this scheme and play calling, and his execution would improve. And there are some good and there's some not good, but not ugly. Like if he had an ugly game, and then he did, the last game in Saskatchewan was finally an ugly game by Nathan Rourke, and therefore that's why the pivot. If that ugly game came earlier, they would have pivoted to Vernon Adams earlier. But because his games were good, some great, most of the time good, not terrible, you're like, okay, eventually things are gonna sink in and
He's gonna play his way out of it.
Yeah. So you're gonna stick with him, and there are 800K reasons next year and the reason year after. You're going to stick with him, right?
Agreed. So, okay, Greg, I'll let you chime in, but I want to provide a counter to.
I'm enjoying this. I'm not the one stirring the pot.
So, Arthur, I completely agree with you that this is management and the coaches' view, and like you said, that's the view that determines how they're going to play, right? But I think so. A couple of things. If what you're saying is that Vern came in as a caretaker until Nate was 100% 2 years ago.
Yep.
And then the following year, when Nate left for the NFL, what you're asserting and could be true with the management is that okay, we're just holding the team until Nate comes back because he may not do well in the NFL. If that's true, I think that would be a very short-sighted way because there's no guarantee that Nate's going to ever come back at that point. Yeah, we don't know. So, and number two, if that was the case, I think that would be really unfair, and maybe that's what some of the players could have felt too. But I don't know if that's the case. So that's one point. The second point, let's talk about this year.
Well, they kept tabs with Nate throughout the whole process multiple times, and every time they asked McAvoy, it was is there a place, and he goes, "There's a place for Nathan Rourke on my team." Every time they asked it. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
But to take that and come to the conclusion that this team has a Nate Rourke shaped QB plan, and Vern is only caretaking until Nate comes back. Doesn't make sense because number one, there's no guarantee he will come back. Number two, we don't know how long that's going to be. And this year was a Grey Cup year. We needed to win. So that's my counter there. And what happened too is that this year, I think the offense was built around VA, and I think that's what the players really keyed on. Like in the interviews afterwards with Hatcher and McInnes, right? He was here from the very beginning, putting in all the hard work, pre-camp, camp, and then so it was built around him, and rightly or wrongly, and I think it's wrong, where the OC didn't adjust. But initially we were having success, with big play VA making the big plays, right? And it was Calgary that figured us out, and and I think to lay the blame on the QB saying you're not executing to our game plan, when all the defenses after Calgary figured us out. I think it's the OC pushing the blame down to the QBs instead of taking it on. And I think eventually they did figure it out, because this week, when they were preparing for this game, Campbell said a few times, where everyone has to step up. So VA is not going to be the magic bullet. Everyone has to step up, the players and the coaches, he said, and the coaches.
Yeah. Well, he has to say that. But what did they change? But what did what did they change?
Well, so we had a more balanced offense. We had a more balanced offense with the running. VA pulled it in when there was nothing there. He pulled it in and made the runs. So that was definitely his call. But maybe the OC saw that needs to happen too, right?
The OC made changes before this game. We can get into that.
Last week.
Well, okay. So when the Lions got it to the 5-3 start, VA gets injured. It was really pass heavy. After that, they started to rely on Stanback a bit more. So they got him, and he got a number of 100-yard games. This is how he's second in the league in rushing, right? So they already started to mix in pass run. And then, but what problem we had as the Lions is the fourth quarter execution drops off. We would have a good balance, and then we would abandon the run, and then we didn't have playmakers step up in the fourth quarter to either get us back into the game or get us, like, if we're behind, get us really close or take that 1-point lead or take that 3-point lead or hold on to the games that were ahead. We just had issues in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the OC did make slight changes to the scheme, just that when the chips were down, they reverted back to what they always wanted to do. Yeah. And that dig route by McInnes is no longer open. Sorry to say. They love that play. It's not going to always be there.
And they had to have seen that. But boy,
okay.
You guys both make great points. I love this.
Okay, sorry. Arthur, I interrupted you. In terms of what did we do well?
Well, I mean, there's a belief. I think, just flat. I mean, Greg went through all three phases, all three teams in terms of like parts of the team and what they did well. So I think the biggest thing I can add to that is they had this belief. Obviously, the receivers, they ran those routes a little crisper. A little bit more explosive off the break, and apart from one bobble by Aiden Eberhardt, they were able to make all the big catches, right?
Yeah.
And previous,
especially those catches to sustain drives.
Yeah. In those previous games, we would have drops. We would have more tip drills to interceptions.
Yes.
So the receivers stepped it up. The O-line stepped it up in terms of, I mean, it's, again, when they're blitzing, and then man on man, it's easier in a way to block that. If you're pretty much 80%, 70% blitzing with 5 or 6 people or more, then Vernon's getting into this rhythm of getting the ball away quicker, and you're man to man. So, but in conjunction with the receivers having a little bit more of a better, like running better routes, if they're on man, the protection was there again. Half a second on the pass protection, a little bit more crisper route running, and then a quarterback that wants to prove something.
Yes.
And Nate was, bottom line, Nate's been off his game. B/C plus games.
Yeah.
1A, maybe against Montreal or in Ottawa,
And
and
Ottawa.
at a touch on Pacific. Couple of A's, lots of B's, C pluses. So, anyways, we have a comment.
Okay, good. Yeah, Hafsar Life agrees with you. He says the whole offense looked more engaged with VA. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to extend what you said, and I think the players all stepped up. I mentioned it earlier, not just on offense but on defense too. And I think that was the VA effect. Just the fact that the players wanted to play for him and they wanted the win for him, because a lot of them, maybe not all, but a lot of them felt that he was shortchanged, and so they wanted to, and they don't even know if he's going to be here next year. So they wanted the win for him. He deserved the win for being their leader, for being humble and that ultimate professional all the way through, not complaining even when he lost the QB1 position to Rourke. So that I commented a few times during the game. This is what a team looks like when they play with passion and intensity. That's what I saw from every single player, playing with passion and intensity. And we've been calling that out, right? They couldn't get any passion and intensity with Nate. Not because Nate wasn't playing well, A, B, but this goes to show you that, and I mentioned to you guys before, there was this YouTube video, this guy doing stats on, mediocre quarterback with a good team versus a really good quarterback with a mediocre team. And the mediocre quarterback with a good team, hands down, wins, right? So we are blessed to have two top quarterbacks, but that's not going to win us games. In order to win us games, we have to have the whole team step up. That's why I love football. The football is a team game. And when you have a leader who can rally the troops, who can get them to give that 110%, that's what's going to win games. And that's why, as Hafsar Life said, I'm really hopeful and excited for the playoffs, because if this is what's clicked with the team, and now we know that Campbell is saying that we're gonna ride VA all the way through now. If this is what's needed to click, then it gives us our best hopes for success. We can't control what the opponents do, but if we have the best chance for success now with VA, then I'm hopeful.
But again, shouldn't a team down to a man play for the W, not play for a player? That intensity and passion should be there no matter who your quarterback is. Because when VA came in last year, they stepped up, they played for him, like Arthur said. You're in this for the paycheck. So if they rode Nathan the rest of the way and VA never got in there again, and that was the half-ass effort and lackluster passion and all that they didn't put in, or lackluster that they did, then their season ends early. They don't get paid. And like Milt Stegall said, it's about the paycheck, especially in this league. It's not the big bucks. You're playing for the love of the game. And, if that's pretty detrimental and self-inflicted. If you VA got shortchanged, so I'm only going to give it 80% for Nate. Well, if you're going to give 80 and he gives 80 and the guy beside you is giving 80 and you do a one and done, you just sacrificed paycheck because of ego.
I hear you. I think the way I would characterize it is not that the players are coming and saying, I'm going to give 80. So I think they're coming in, and in their minds, they're giving Nate 100%. So in their minds, mentally, they say, okay, this is my 100% with Nate. But the VA effect is that VA is able to push them beyond 100. So with the respect for VA's leadership, they're able to put in 110, 120. That extra half a second holding their pass blocks, like what Arthur said.
I don't think it's 20% more. I mean, they'll dig a little deeper. I mean, I think they're playing for their own, right? Hey, the Lions lose out, right? They lost yesterday. They go to say Saskatchewan, they lose. This team's there's gonna be so much turnover in this team.
Yep.
Yeah.
right? So they're playing for themselves as much as they're playing for VA. And I don't think the variance is 10, 20, and that's a massive amount of difference. I like to see them handle adversity. There was a little adversity
A little bit.
is when Aiden Eberhardt juggled the ball, and then but there was not much time left in the half, and the Montreal couldn't really do anything with it. So I would love to
the
see.
defense stepped up there. The defense stepped up
yeah,
there, and,
but
and
I mean,
that pick as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and you know what, 3 goal lines or 2 goal line stands or whatever it was. I'd like to have seen that earlier on. Why can't you do that against Winnipeg's O line? Why can't you do that against Toronto's O line? Why can't
does
you do
that matter
against
who the
Hamilton?
quarterback is? Greg, you're a defensive guy. Does it matter your goal line stand? Does it matter who the quarterback is if I'm gonna make a stand? Should it matter?
My defensive mindset, or what I think the defensive mindset of a professional level.
I mean,
defense
both.
should be.
Both. Then you tell me both.
Okay, me, I don't give a damn who the quarterback is. I play my D on the goal
Exactly.
line, the best style it gives me, and I don't remember the D line being. I don't know. They just looked a little more aggressive. So, like, I mean, I just wonder where the hell that was all those losses ago, right? I mean, Winnipeg's O line can't be that much better than Montreal's. Is
I
it?
agree with you, Greg. They shouldn't be playing differently based on who the quarterback is. But I think we saw very clearly, in my opinion, that this was the VA effect. That Matthew Betts, stepped it up, and everyone stepped it up because of the VA effect. So they're not on the same side of the ball, but they're still in the same team. It's still the same locker room. So I think what we saw with the defense yesterday was the VA effect.
Okay, and then the sloppiness. I remember being at the game, Arthur. We commented that there's still a lot of sloppiness and poor execution that needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's the VA effect, then are we going to bottle that up and just make them drink that Kool-Aid for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
I think that they need more leaders. I mean, we talked about this. Last week, right? My thing was leadership, right? They need more leaders. Like, if VA is not the quarterback, that shouldn't derail the whole team.
Them on the sideline because he's there.
Yeah. So that shouldn't derail the team. We need more leaders to step. Because hey, who the heck cares who the quarterback is? You do your job.
Yeah.
You bust your butt and you make that tackle, or you run that route. You lay out for that ball. I don't care, right? Let's rise above this adversity. Yeah. I mean, let's win the game. So, like, if anything, they need more leaders, more people who can command the respect in the locker room. Maybe they went too young and they don't have enough of these type of players. Guys have won championships in the past who can come to the locker room and command respect. Who can command respect? I mean, right now the leaders it's TJ Lee, it's Vernon Adams.
Yeah.
Hollins is trying to be a little bit more vocal.
Yeah.
You have Mackey's a leader, right? And you have some guys on the O-line. Yeah. But we need more guys. I think that's what they have to address is you got to get some guys with more swagger into that locker room to help with the leadership, because this VA effect, although it's good, it should not have been. We should not be in the situation where we have to dress it back up and then we get an extra 10, 20% more. I mean, come on. That should not be the case.
I agree.
So here's a question. Yeah. Let me just throw this out to you fellas here. Or is there a comment, Ro?
No, I was just going to quickly say I agree, but where we are now with the personnel that we have, this was the move that made sense.
Oh yeah, and I agree. We
can't change the personnel. We can't bring in new leaders. So.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, for this year, yeah, you're kind of like, okay, this is this is kind of like desperate times call for desperate measures, right? So yeah, this is what they had to do. But I'm saying going forward, we should not. Exactly. We should craft a team that has more leadership. Maybe these guys aren't the biggest or the fastest guys, but we need more leadership in the locker room.
Well, yeah. Test will be the first playoff game because I guarantee you more adversity is going to hit. So here,
Yeah.
we're going to ride Vernon Adams now, according to Coach Campbell. We're going to ride him to the end. Okay. So Vernon Adams is now on the field. You've got the VA effect. Adversity hits and they fold their tents. Now what? Then we're going to blame that squarely on Coach Campbell and Neil McAvoy, thinking they built a team that could take us to the Grey Cup. Because if they overlooked that aspect about adversity and now that we fold tents, then I don't know if, we should, then maybe Mr. Doman should clean house. I mean, one and done. Is that enough to make wholesale changes and blow it up?
If they lose the Western semifinal, there's going to be major changes, Greg.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
According to Mr. Doman on the shows he was on, he has no say in personnel whatsoever, right? I think you said that on the Donnie and Dhaliwal show.
I mean, he says the right things. He says the right things. He's not going to throw his head coach under the bus.
Nope. Everything's up to those guys. So if VA's on the field and they come up against Saskatchewan adversity in Saskatchewan, like they had at that ugly game, then it's going to be a long game.
Yeah, but I'm hopeful that that's not going to happen. I think we will rise up to adversity. So the only question is that the level that we're going to be playing with that extra. Okay, not 20, but maybe 10%, Arthur.
I'll split the difference with you guys.
15. But Roland's selling that narrative hard, selling that story. It would be a great story. VA leads them to a Grey Cup. Awesome story, and I would be 110% behind that, Roland.
Actually, let's do a hypothetical. It's 17, so we got hypothetical. Say. Miracle of miracles, we pull it off. That VA effect with that extra 10% is enough to get us over Saskatchewan, get us over Winnipeg. We meet Montreal again, and we win. What happens next year? Actually, hold that thought. I'm going to read a couple of comments. Skull Nation. Hey, welcome, Skull Nation. Great to have you with us tonight. Great win. I saw the highlights online. Looked great. Red zone defense came through. Yeah, for sure. And then he says O-line as well. Yeah. So defense came through. O-line, held both on the pass rush and the opening up the holes. So wonderful. Okay, let's go with Greg first. Okay, say we win the Grey Cup with VA. We can't keep
so
both
VA is the most valuable player for the Grey Cup. Grey Cup MVP. Right?
Well, I mean,
how do they win the Grey Cup?
So there's only one path. Right?
Well, no.
Is
it defense? Is it the defense that limits the other team like 8 points, and then we squeak out like 15 to 8 wins? Or is it the offense leading the way, and we're like killing them 35 to 30 every game?
Let's
it matters.
Okay, yeah, it does matter. So let's say we do something similar to this week then. So 27-3.
Okay.
Well, not going to happen. I'm so
27 to 3. Okay.
No, the defense that we have with the personnel we have are not going to hold the opposing team in the Grey Cup game to 3 points. I'm going out on a huge limb, but based on what I've seen, the defense is their whole performance taking this whole regular season. That's not going to happen.
Okay. Let's say it's closer then, 27-24. So the question is, what do we do with our
you got enough? I think I have enough to answer. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Let's go with Greg first.
We talked about this a little bit earlier. We touched on it, and again, because Vernon Adams again, age.
He'll be 32 at the start in training camp.
He's had a couple injuries on the same knee. And if this management group, personnel group, not football operation group, but if they keep their head firmly up where it is, and that O-line stays intact, and the O-line design.
Hey, they just won the Grey Cup, Greg. What do you think they're going to change?
I say they change O-line. They still got to make changes because
they're going to do adjustment, but they're not. Yeah. They just won the Grey Cup, so think about it.
The question is on the QB spot.
Yeah, but
my QB, they still have to. They get
Man,
what
this
they
guy's
can
waddling,
for.
Roland. He's really waddling.
They get what I'm trying to keep the language where I need it to stay. They get what they can for VA riding the wave that he'll be riding as Grey Cup MVP. They have
Okay,
to.
fun. Wasn't that hard, Greg? Wasn't that
they're gonna
hard?
Well, I
trade.
had to keep. I had to keep all the emotions of all the other crap that this team's pissed me off about. If it's just a quarterback, they got to get what they can for Vernon Adams at the
But
top.
they won the Grey Cup. I mean, that means that all is good in Leo's land.
What have you done for me lately? But it's how many more Grey Cups?
What have you done for me? Win the Grey Cup, man.
Yeah, but Mr. Dolman's got to get more return on his money than just one Grey Cup championship.
Yeah, you have to live in that moment. You're not living in present moment. You're living in Roland fantasy land, right?
Yeah, okay. And because I want this podcast to continue until I can't talk anymore, I hope the fans out there agree. But I would like 3 Down Bros to go for a few more years. They got to get what they can for VA because I'm sorry, gentle linebackers, lackluster secondary, coaching staff, whatever they can get for VA. If they can get all of that for VA, I love the guy, but it's
Greg,
it's
let me just give you one point. Along your line, they can get some or all, maybe all for VA. They can get a heck of a lot more for Nathan, and Nathan's making $800K, while VA will be making under 500. So if you're like the way you're building your premise, it almost sounds like we should stick with VA because we need to make all these other changes. Salary cap or luxury tax. Keep that in mind.
Actually, before Greg answers that, I'm going to throw out to the people who are online with us. Let us know what you think, your answer to this question as well. So the hypothetical is, if we go all the way with VA and we win the Grey Cup, who do we trade next year? We can't keep
and he's Grey Cup MVP. Got to let them know that.
Yeah,
okay, he's Grey Cup MVP. We can't keep both VA and Rourke. Who do we trade? Who do we keep? Okay, so let us know online while Greg
is reformulating his answer.
I'm not reformulating. I'm staying with what I said. Because again, Vernon at VA with the Grey Cup MVP is a lot more valuable than Nathan at not having done anything from when they pulled him to now. And I don't, he's Kid Canada, but he didn't look that great. So I don't know if the teams are as hungry for him and with an $800,000 tag coming with him. So you keep him and you get what you can for VA and let him go where he can shine, where he deserves to shine. That's it.
All right. Okay. Before Arthur goes, I'm going to read a couple comments. So Habs for Life says, VA is 5 years older than Rourke and probably has 5 to 7 years left at this level. No? Wouldn't it be hard to trade?
I thought he's...
Yeah.
He'll be 32. He'll be 32 when they take training camp. So he's got 5... Who's got 5 to 7 years? Rourke, probably Rourke.
Oh, Rourke, okay. So,
but he's 5 years older than Rourke. Is that what we said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Habs for Life is saying it wouldn't be hard to trade either QB. So he's not making a choice. Todd, on the other hand, Todd asks, Vern has a fairy tale ending in BC, rides off into the sunset, Lions trade VA. Okay, that's what Todd's call is. Okay, others online, let us know what your thoughts are. Let's go to Arthur. I think I know what Arthur's going to say, but Arthur, go ahead, give us your thoughts.
Wow, you know what I'm going to say, because there's a lot more than just football operations to keep in mind, right? And if I'm a general manager, I'm going to be making the trade. Butts and seats make a world of difference. If I can get more butts in the seats, I can pay into the luxury tax. It doesn't matter. So butts and seats was all that matters, especially in a gate-driven league like the CFL. I take the younger quarterback 100%. I don't think that's as much of a decision. I love VA. Of us three, I was the VA backer 2 years ago. And I love VA too. Yeah, I
you did.
I love them both. It's tough, but I think you got to go with the younger quarterback who potentially has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you got to show it. You know,
That's a
you can
scary
say
word.
Nathan only showed it for like 10 games and 22 with being injured for a bit. And he had some good and bad games here, mostly just good, not great. Yeah, but like I like what Greg says, those knees, the VA's knees, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
And I think I like a taller quarterback. Maybe it's the NFL watcher in me. I like a taller quarterback who maybe reads defenses a little faster. That's my kind of, I would say, predisposition or bias. So I would
Right.
definitely, yeah. I mean, would have been a great story. I would love to have either quarterback on my team. But if I had to choose, I'd take Nathan Rourke.
Okay. That's what I thought you'd say.
Of
Habs for Life
course.
says Winnipeg's QB is 37 and still destroying. Why couldn't VA? No, I think Habs is absolutely right. I think VA still has a few more years left in him, and that's why trading him would teams would still want him, and we're gonna get a
We don't
lot
have
for him.
Winnipeg's O line. That's what Greg said.
That's my point. That
Yeah.
37-year-old body is behind, and I mean that O line started to show some weaknesses because that Zach got tossed around a little bit more this year than he has before. But
Yeah.
I would still that O line's still a lot better than ours.
They lost
Yeah.
Hardrick, right? They lost Hardrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, goes to my point earlier that a mediocre, good to mediocre quarterback plus a good team, a really good team, can still win championships. So my take on this, I think, as hard as for me to say it, even if V8 wins us the Grey Cup, I think the future is with Nate. The good thing about winning the Grey Cup, though, is that he's gonna land in the best possible spot outside of BC, and I think that's why I'm so excited and hopeful for the next few games into the playoffs, because I think the players know that as well. So that motivation that we saw the players put in yesterday's game is going to continue into the playoffs because they want VA. They know that he's going to be traded away. He won't be here next year, so they know that. And so they're going to do whatever they can to give him the best possible landing spot in another team. So number one, I think I'm happy with that. I have one more point, and then I'll get to you, Arthur. In terms of the cap, I think there's a good chance that Nate will not be making 800,000 next year.
Yeah,
I
he
think
might
that
walk
might
it
be-
back. Yeah, he'll walk
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah, so that'll be helpful as well. Okay, Arthur, go ahead.
I will say, as a GM, if someone comes in and blows the socks off me with a massive offer for Nathan Rourke,
You're
I
gonna reconsider?
might. I would. I mean, it's all about value, right?
Yeah.
It's all about value. I'm the GM. It's all about value, right?
Yeah.
If I'm kind of canvassing, okay, what can I get for VA? And then there's a massive nice offer from Nathan Rourke. And in this scenario,
Yeah.
I may just keep VA then, right?
Yeah.
I need to know what offers are being given for both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I may, like, if VA does this, and
Yeah.
there's more will in me to, like, at least listen on a Nathan Rourke trade proposal.
Yeah. Makes
And I'm not
sense.
going to,
And-
yeah.
Yeah, with the money that you make off of Nate, you boost up the O line, then you have what you're talking about, Zach with a strong O line ahead of him, right?
Yeah, and then you're just hoping to win a couple more championships and then retire before Nathan Rourke wins like multiple championships for the team you traded him to. But as long as you get your few in BC first, then it doesn't really matter, right? But you just don't know, right? I mean, there's no guarantee Nathan Rourke, right? I mean, he has one good year next year, and then he's off to the NFL again. Probably not,
Yeah,
but you never know, right?
yeah. I want to just shift gears a little bit. I think Nate obviously was not happy that he wasn't starting, and especially now he's not starting for the playoffs. But I think I think all this happening is good for his own personal development because it is a very humbling spot for him right now, right? With the super kid Canada 2 years ago, and then now humbled to I can't win games. It's a very humbling spot for him, but I think that'll be good for him in the long run because that's when he will realize if he hasn't already what true leadership means, right? Because he's seeing in VA what a true leader can do, even if VA doesn't have the same level of skill set as Nate has, right? So I think in the long run, it's gonna be good for Nate too. Going through this down, right? It's when we go through the difficult times that it really builds our character, right?
Mm.
So I think that's good for him too. All right, it's we're an hour in, so we're going to end it off. So looking ahead, I guess we have a bye week. So last talking point. We got to keep this short. Is a bye week good or bad? Some people are saying, "Oh, this is the worst time to have a bye week when we're starting to get on a roll." But a bye week is still a good. You can rest and heal up. So just short, quick takes from both of you. Is it a good thing or a bad thing, having a bye week?
Go ahead, Greg.
Arthur first. Oh, okay.
Oh, me?
Sure.
I don't think it matters. they're baked into third place. I mean, well, you have another game that's a mean nothing game. I mean, if you can go right into playoffs, no, I think it's good to have a break, a bye week before you hit your playoff game. You can get you get maybe Katoy back, so that would be massive for the team.
Yeah.
And then I think Gary Peters and Stanback pick up some stingers, some slight injuries, let them rest up. Those are two key performers. So
yeah,
I think it's good to have a bye just to rest up before that semifinal. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Greg.
Well, yeah, it's got to stop here because every coming out of every bye week we've had up till now has not been good. But you know what? It's playoff time. It's, put up or shut up. And you know what? Nobody's going home. It's time to refuel, refocus, heal up, and just hit the ground running when you come out of it. So again, I'm with Arthur. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's in the schedule. Use it to your advantage and prove me wrong that the bye week hurt you like it did the rest of the season previously. So doesn't matter. Just get her done.
Okay, awesome, great. So my thoughts, I think I agree with you guys. The bye week is okay, and in fact, it may be good from a healing perspective. All right, it's 33. Next week, we're going to have another show. It'll be a bye week, but next week's show will be focused on looking ahead to the playoffs. By then, we'll know who we're going to be playing first. I think chances are it's going to be Saskatchewan first, but we'll see. So thanks for joining us online. I'm glad to have been able to chat with you guys. If you're joining us after this live stream, let us know in the comments what you think as well. All right. So have a great evening, guys. Take care. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week, Sunday, 8:30.
All right.
Take care. Go Lions.
Go Lions.
Go Lions. Focus.